Joe, in the article that I wrote on the website, I was talking about that benefit to society as a free lunch. And I brought in the idea of seigniorage, which is the fiat value of a coin or a bill beyond the cost it takes to produce it, and the value that the first spender of that coin or bill gets. And people in comments on the web said, no, the value wasn't from seigniorage. Joe, where does that value come from in the first spending of that government dollar? I'll tell you, Joe, the people who are skeptical of a debt-free money system don't think they trust that that first dollar bill has any value. They think it only has value because somebody's promised to pay it back in the future. And that when the government just prints it up and spends it, they say that will automatically be inflationary.
When we create a dollar, when we create a dollar denominated, debt, okay, or we create a dollar denominated debt-free dollar, okay, the difference between the two. What the thing that gives that value, Pete, is that it's a claim, if you will, on the taxpayer, okay, or the resources of the United States of America, okay. It's an obligation to the United States of America. So by spending it into existence by the government, okay, right there, what happens to it? It becomes it really becomes, I'm going to use my account if I can, to say that they spend that money and it ends up in my account. In my account, it's real money, and it's part of my equity. If you take a look at my balance sheet, that money in there is part of my equity. And if you spend it as a debt, the benefit, spend it into existence as a debt, okay, the benefit of that accrues to the people that make the interest on that debt, Pete. That's where the benefit of it goes. It's not to me, because it's loaned into existence and I have to pay it back, no matter what it's for. No matter what it's for. It's loaned into existence and I have to pay it back. So in a way, it's not real in that sense. The real benefit of them having the power to create it is the benefit of interest that they get on that money, because they're sitting back there holding the title to whatever it was I borrowed the money for. Yeah. So they're protected. And they're sitting back there and collecting whatever interest I agree to pay. And that's really what the market will bear, Pete. That's what that is. The market determines what the interest rate is. And they get the advantage of it. So to me, it's like either there's a special, I call it privileged money class, who gets the advantage of, and if you don't want to call it seigniorage, doesn't really matter to me, okay? Because some people say it doesn't fit the historic definition. Doesn't matter. It's the advantage of placing that money into existence. Now I've got it and I spend it and I give it to somebody else and somebody else does something with it, and we all have the same, equal benefit, equal use, equal utility of the money. But the first guys that lent it into existence, they got the interest on it. And that, to me, is the benefit of creating the money. So we could do away with that benefit. We could do away with that cost. The cost to me or whomever of putting that money into existence. And if there's a proper amount of money, placed into existence, there's still going to be the need to have debt and lending. There's still going to be that need, but we're not going to need to have those debts and that lending in order to have a money supply, in order to have a monetary system that operates on a sound, even keel. There's a right amount of money in the economy to preserve price stability and to keep people working. So, yeah, there's a whole myriad of other advantages, Pete, that come along with our ability to create money debt-free. That's in a way, that's my point about them paying it into me, and it's in my account. That's my savings. I'll decide whether I want to just leave it there and do nothing with it, whether I want to invest it, whether I want to lend it, whether what I want to do with it is completely up to me. Okay, and when that me, that includes whomever that is, even the businesses, Pete, the businesses that do work for the government, will be getting paid debt free. So that means there's enough money in the economy. Pete, there was a great show on Link TV about the fact that rather than giving us the money, they lend it into existence, right? Now there's not enough money. Okay, so what will they do? They will continue to lend. They will continue to lend. So we're all at that point, Pete, out there in the world where we really cannot take on any more debt. Where we have way too much debt. And the IMF and the bankers, even our own central bankers, are saying, well, we need to cut down on government debt. Hey, this is your money system, bankers. If you're creating all the money as a debt, how can you expect us to not have debt? So that means that there's something wrong. There's something wrong with the system.
That reminds me of the old Einstein quote: the thinking that created the problem is not big enough to solve the problem.
Amen. Amen.
Joe, one of these days soon, I want to talk to you about the people who say you can't trust the government. If you gave them the magic checkbook that we're talking about, look out. But we'll leave that for another time, Joe.
Yeah, okay, Pete.
Have a good little trip.
I happen to agree with that to some degree. To some degree, I agree with that, Pete. It takes a lot of watching. It
takes a lot of what. It has to be done right.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, Joe. We'll see you around.